On a winter night in Belgium, a silent triangle crossed the sky, and the people who saw it had no clear way to prove what they had witnessed. Some were civilians, some were police officers. Later, Belgian Air Force pilots chased unknown tracks with F-16 radar. The central question is not whether every report was true, it is whether the strongest records point to one cause at all. The wave began in November 1989 and grew through the cold months. Witnesses described a large shape with lights at its corners, moving without the sound of an engine. Reports came from more than one place, and many people spoke before the story became famous. That matters. A tale built later can spread by memory. These first reports came from people who said they were simply looking up. Police reports added a harder layer. Officers did not just repeat rumors heard at home. They recorded calls and statements from people who wanted help naming what they had seen. Yet a report is not proof of an unknown craft. It proves that a person made a report. The difference is small in words, but huge in an honest inquiry. The sky itself offered no easy answer. Night hides size and distance. A bright point can seem close. A far object can look wide when its shape is hard to judge. Weather, haze, and low light can change the view. Still, many witnesses focused on the same broad form, a slow, silent triangle. Their agreement made the case harder to dismiss, but not solved. By early 1990, the reports had reached the Belgian Air Force. General Wilfried De Brouwer became one of the key officials linked to the military response. The force did not announce a new aircraft or confirm a non-human intelligence. It treated the reports as a real air safety concern. That choice placed the mystery inside a system built to separate danger from mistake. The most serious night came in March 1990. F-16 fighters were sent to investigate reports in the wider wave. Their pilots used radar while trying to find the source of the strange sightings. A radar track can feel like solid proof, but it is still a signal that must be understood. The screen showed something the crew could not identify, not a label that said unknown craft. The pilots tried to lock on to the returns. In accounts of the event, the tracks changed in ways that made pursuit difficult. Their speed, height, or movement did not fit a simple visual target. But radar can be affected by range, weather, signal behavior, and the limits of the system. A strange track may reflect a real object, a false return, or a mix of both. The cockpit held no clean answer. A pilot can be trained, calm, and still face a target that will not show its true distance or shape. Human eyes and radar do not always agree. The aircraft may follow one signal while the witness sees another thing below. That gap between sight and sensor is where many UAP cases become most difficult to judge. In the radar room, the event became less like a story and more like a problem in data. An operator had to ask what the system detected when it appeared and whether another source matched it. A radar contact alone could not show the object's material, shape, or intent. It could confirm an unusual return. It could not by itself confirm a machine beyond human design. The military records therefore matter, but only within their limits. They show that Belgian officials took some reports seriously enough to launch fighters. They include accounts tied to radar contacts and pilot observations. They do not provide a complete picture of every triangle seen by civilians. The wave was not one sealed event. It was a group of reports joined by time, place, and public attention. That distinction changes the whole case. If every witness saw one object, a single answer might explain the wave. If the reports came from aircraft, stars, lights, errors, and perhaps one unknown source, then the word wave describes a pattern of attention rather than one cause. The evidence can be real, while the shared story is wrong. That is not a weakness. It is the first honest finding. Then came the photograph from Petit-Rechain, linked to March 1990. It showed a dark triangular form with bright points of light. For years, many people treated it as the clearest image from the Belgian wave. A picture can seem stronger than a memory because it leaves a record. Yet a record can still mislead when its source, method, and history are not secure. The Petit-Rechain image became a test of trust. Supporters saw a sharp image that matched the witness reports. Later claims said the object may have been a model. That claim did not erase the photograph, but it changed its weight. A forensic comparison must ask who took it, when, under what conditions, and whether later statements agree with the first account. A famous image can also bend the reports around it. Once the public sees a triangle with lights, new witnesses may use that picture to shape old memories. The mind seeks a known form. This does not mean every witness copied a story. It means the image may have helped create a common language for separate events. Evidence must be dated before it is trusted. The press briefings gave the wave a public face, while official records gave it a colder one. General De Brouwer's role mattered because he stood between public fear and military caution. The Belgian Air Force could say that pilots had pursued unexplained contacts without saying those contacts were non-human. That line may sound careful. It is also the line that keeps evidence from becoming belief. There was no single moment when the state proved a strange craft. There was no single moment when every report was exposed as false. Instead, the case held both strong and weak parts. Police records showed sincere reports. Pilot accounts showed a difficult interception. Radar showed unusual tracks. The Petit-Rechain photograph offered a lasting image, but its value remained disputed. This is where the Belgian wave reaches beyond Belgium. Air forces must act on uncertain information. A silent shape near a flight path can be harmless, secret, or dangerous. Waiting for perfect proof may cost time. Scrambling fighters for every unclear report may waste fuel, risk pilots, and flood the system with noise. The event showed how national security works when knowledge arrives late and incomplete. It also showed how fast fear can cross borders. Newspapers, public meetings, and official statements helped turn local sightings into a shared European mystery. The more people heard, the more the triangle entered public thought. Yet the same attention that brought witnesses forward could also change what they remembered. A wave can reveal something in the sky, and something in the people watching the sky. The pilots faced a different kind of pressure. They were not searching for wonder. They were trying to identify a target while flying a fast military jet at night. A failed lock was not a dramatic victory or defeat. It was a hard result with limits. The F-16 radar could register a contact and still leave the pilot without a clear object to see or name. That failure does not prove impossible physics. The records do not establish a vehicle that crossed space, moved without force, or came from outside Earth. They also do not explain every report. A fair conclusion must hold both facts at once. The Belgian case contains an unresolved remainder, but an unresolved remainder is not the same as proof of non-human intelligence. The strongest finding may be about method. Civilian testimony can point to a pattern. Police records can show that reports were made and examined. Military radar can add a second kind of record. Pilot accounts can reveal what trained observers could not identify. A photograph can preserve detail while still carrying doubt. None of these forms of evidence should be forced to do the job of the others. The 1989-90 wave also warns against the hunger for one perfect answer. If the photograph was a model, the radar tracks still need study. If some radar returns were errors, the civilian reports still need sorting. If some witnesses saw ordinary objects, that does not settle the cases that remain. One weak piece can fall without bringing down every stronger piece beside it. What did the event actually show? It showed a real public wave of reports between November 1989 and April 1990. It showed that Belgian police and the Belgian Air Force treated parts of that wave as serious enough to record and investigate. It showed that F-16 radar and pilot observation did not produce a clear identity. It showed that the Petit-Rechain photograph remains a disputed piece, not a final answer. And it showed the limits of our tools. The human eye can misjudge distance. Radar can confuse a signal with a target. Memory can grow under pressure. Officials can speak with care and still leave the public unsatisfied. The mystery survives not because every story is true, but because the best records do not line up into one simple explanation. The Belgian triangle is therefore neither a clean proof nor an empty tale. It is a layered file. Sincere witnesses, police reports, military action, radar contacts, pilot uncertainty, and an image whose history remains in dispute. The case asks for patience more than faith. Until better evidence appears, the most honest verdict is also the hardest one. Belgium recorded something unusual, but it did not prove what that something was.